Living in Australia is starting to feel like a total fucking scam.
Housing in Australia is worth $11.3 trillion. That's just over 3 times more than super.
Sydney, Australia literally just became the least affordable city in the world. Are we being so for real right now?
The cost of living out here in Australia is crazy.
The cost of living out here in Australia is actually cooked. Let me show you.
The cost of living is actually fucked.
I paid my very last childcare bill yesterday because my youngest daughter starts school next year. And I thought it would be like funny in a sad way to estimate how much I've spent in childcare.
New Year's Eve has always been one of the brightest nights on the Australian calendar. A night when cities come alive, beaches filled with families, fireworks paint the sky, and the entire nation feels connected for a few precious hours. But this year, something has fundamentally changed. This year, the excitement is replaced by tension, by worry, by silence in homes that used to be filled with laughter and celebration. Across Australia, thousands of families are cancelling their New Year plans, not because they suddenly dislike the holiday, not because they're tired, and not because they want a quiet night in. They're cancelling because the cost of living has risen so aggressively, so consistently and so painfully that even the idea of celebrating feels irresponsible. For many Australians, joy has a price tag they simply cannot pay anymore. New Year isn't cancelled by choice, it's cancelled by reality.
I paid my very last childcare bill yesterday because my youngest daughter starts school next year. And I thought it would be like funny in a sad way to estimate how much I've spent in childcare since my youngest started back in 2019. So over the past 7 years, while I have pretty much been working full-time, single parent, 2 children, the least I paid was $3,500 in 2024 when I just had 1 child and I had a discount subsidy for the younger child. And the most I paid was $20,800, and I used to get bills that were about $400 a week. This year I've been paying $250 a week. Anyhow, conservative estimates comes to $79,000 over the past 7 years, which would have been a fantastic house deposit. I just can't say how happy I am to enroll my kids in a public school from now.
So I recently moved to Sydney on my 3rd year working holiday visa. Bearing in mind the last time I was in Australia was 2017, and that was when I did years 1 and 2. And now I'm back as a 35-year-old solo traveller. Previously, I came here with my partner, and things are a little bit different as a solo traveller. And everybody on TikTok is like, oh my God, Australia is so expensive. It's so hard to get a job. It's so hard to get a house. It's day 4 of me being here. I've secured a room for rent already, and I have had 3 Teams interviews and been put forward for 2 jobs. It's day 4. Like, literally, the people who are saying, oh my God, it's so expensive. Yeah, babe, it's expensive because you're living in Bondi Beach and working in a cafe. Like, what the fuck do you expect?
Sydney, Australia literally just became the least affordable city in the world. Are we being so for real right now? This literally means you just can't buy shit. Like, imagine not being able to afford shit. Real talk. This is Sydney, Australia. It's like the worst type of living. And on top of that too, the internet is shit too. So why do we have shit internet and it's so expensive to live here? Are we going to lift this weight off our shoulders or something? Like, what's going on? And let's not even start talking about houses, because, bruh, why is it that you could live so far away from the city, away from all public transports like trains and buses, and your house is still $1 million and up? What are we talking about, Sydney? Yo, this place is unlivable. I remember I pulled up to a smoke shop in Manly, and these folks were selling aloe veras for $2.50. The 250 milliliters, just drink. That little drink right here. They're selling that for $2.50. I haven't seen them motherfuckers for $2.50 in my entire life. Yo, they're usually $4.50. Like, what the fuck? Yo, somebody sign me up for another city, bro. Because what the fuck do you mean it's just expensive as fuck to live here, bro? You can't be serious, bro. Come on now.
The cost of living out here in Australia is crazy. Let me show you. 30 cans of Coke for $50. This block of cheese, nearly $14. $4.90 on offer for chocolate. No thanks. $7 just for some milk. How am I going to survive out here?
The cost of living crisis has become the defining experience of Australian life in 2025. It's no longer something people read about in headlines, it's something they feel in every supermarket aisle, every rental bill, every electricity statement, every fuel tank refill. The financial shock hits over and over again until even small moments of happiness begin to feel out of reach. Walk into any grocery store today and you feel the impact instantly. Basic items that were once affordable, vegetables, fruits, snacks, drinks, meat for the barbecue, have become painfully expensive. Families planning New Year gatherings now find themselves staring at their carts, removing items one by one, trying to stretch every dollar. What used to be a simple celebration meal has become a financial burden too heavy for thousands. And rent has become a national emergency. In cities like Sydney and Melbourne, even modest apartments cost more than what many full-time workers earn in a month. Young people who once dreamed of hosting New Year parties now worry about whether they can pay next week's rent. Families who used to travel to see relatives are cancelling plans because every spare dollar is being eaten by rent increases that show no signs of slowing down. Electricity is another silent enemy. December is brutally hot, and yet many families choose not to turn on their air conditioners because they fear the next bill. Hosting guests on a hot summer night becomes nearly impossible when even running the fan or lights feels like a financial risk. Australians are cutting back on electricity, on groceries, on transport, and now on celebrations. The cost of living isn't just squeezing families, it is suffocating them. And the first thing to disappear under pressure is anything that isn't essential, including New Year's Eve joy.
$10 for a fucking crunchy nut. Go fuck yourself. $9.95 for fucking eggs. You're fucked. $12.90 for a fucking egg. You're fucked. $9.90 for milk. You're fucked. $13.50 for a piece of chicken.
Anyone who claims that Australia is cheaper than the UK to buy food, you must be a Waitrose shopper, because there is no way food is cheaper here than it is in the UK. No way. And I will go head to head with anyone that claims that it is. It's not. I've just had a notification come through on my phone. Last month, so 4 weeks, I have spent, I think it was $1,900 on food. That's nearly £1,000. I would never have spent that much money in the UK ever. So it's definitely not cheaper.
Also, let me know your thoughts. Do you actually think the quality of food here is better? I think it's worse. Putting it out there, I think the quality of food in the UK is better than here. Let me know what you think and what you find. Again, we're only 3 months in, so I could change my mind. I could just be missing stuff from the UK. But yeah, let me know if you think the food is either cheaper here or if it's better quality.
For a chicken roll now, 179 grams, $6. What the fuck is wrong with Australia?
I just got back from New York, went to buy groceries for the week at Coles, and it cost me $418 for one person. What the actual I mean, I did get grass-fed steaks, and I'm a pretty big eater, but the exact same shop with even more stuff, completely organic, usually cost me around $200 US in New York, which is by far one of the most expensive cities in the world. And taking into consideration the exchange rate, and B, that the quality of food that I bought was significantly lower than what I would get in the US, we are getting absolutely rorted, because you can earn so much more money in New York than you can in Melbourne, yet the grocery prices are 25 to 40% more. I knew we had a cost of living issue, but I didn't realize it had gotten this bad. Things have significantly changed in the last 9 months since I was away. How does a family afford to live right now and not eat A, complete shit that makes them insanely sick, or B, go into a ridiculous amount of debt? I don't understand. I'm completely shook.
New Year's Eve, once seen as the most universal, inclusive celebration of the year, has quietly transformed into a luxury event. Something reserved for those who have enough disposable income to survive inflation, enough stability to feel comfortable spending on entertainment, and enough savings to justify a night out that can cost hundreds. The average night out on New Year's is no longer simple. Restaurants charge premium holiday rates. Bars introduce event fees. Uber and taxi prices surge to ridiculous levels. Even buying a few drinks or simple snacks becomes a financial decision instead of a casual indulgence. For families struggling with bills, this isn't an option. It feels irresponsible. It feels impossible. Even the iconic free public celebrations are losing their accessibility. Traveling to the city costs money. Food stall prices at events are inflated. Parking is outrageous. Public transport fees add up, especially for families. What was once free for all now costs enough to scare away anyone already living on the edge. And then there are the children, the ones who love fireworks, the ones who wait all year for this night. Parents are being forced to say no, not because they want to deny their kids' happiness, but because the cost of participating has grown beyond their reach. Many parents describe the heartbreak of watching their children's excitement disappear as they explain why they can't go to celebrations this year. The emotional weight of this is immense. When families can't afford to celebrate together, when joy becomes something only the financially stable can experience, a country begins to lose its shared traditions. New Year's Eve is no longer a national moment. It's becoming a symbol of inequality, a reminder that some can celebrate without worry while others fight just to survive. The cancellation of New Year for millions of Australians is not an accident. It is the direct outcome of systemic economic problems that have been building for years. Australia's economy is creating winners and losers, and ordinary families are overwhelmingly on the losing side. Corporations continue to report record profits, while consumers are forced to pay record prices. Grocery chains increase prices month after month. Energy companies expand profits, even as households fall behind on their bills. Landlords and developers benefit from a rental market in crisis, while tenants sacrifice more and more of their income just to avoid homelessness. Wages, on the other hand, remain painfully stagnant. Workers report doing more but earning the same. The value of their money disappears faster than they can earn it. Each month feels harder than the last. And while politicians talk about relief, families see none of it reflected in their daily lives. Interest rates have trapped mortgage holders in a cycle of anxiety. Many now work overtime just to avoid defaulting. These financial pressures don't just take away money, they take away peace, stability, and the mental space required to feel hope for the future. New Year's Eve is supposed to symbolize fresh beginnings. But how can families feel hopeful when the economy keeps pushing them down? How can they celebrate when the new year looks just as financially brutal as the last? This is not just an economic crisis. It is a human crisis, a culture crisis, a national identity crisis. Australia was built on the principle that a fair day's work should provide a fair life. But that principle is fading, and nothing showcases this decline more clearly than a country where millions can no longer afford to celebrate New Year's Eve.
I'm in Australia and I've done a bit of shopping, babes. You know I like to show you what I get from the supermarket, and believe it or not, this is literally for one breakfast and a plane trip. But boy, things are not cheap, babes. We've got some eggs, a dozen eggs. I couldn't find organic, so we got cage-free eggs. This is a bag of mushrooms, some simple white mushrooms. This is the receipt that I'll show you later. Oopsie! I've just dropped it, but this is a whole thing of grape tomatoes. Lord, you get the gist. 2 corn. Butternut squash. Them call it pumpkin out here, but it's definitely squash. Some extra virgin Spanish olive oil. Some chorizo. This is Australian chorizo. They do love their meats over here, babes. Baby cucumbers, some organic baby cucumbers. We got 6 of these kiwis, and they're the yellow kiwis, not the green. We've had them once before. I think in England they taste exactly the same. Nova wanted a normal baby cucumber that wasn't organic. Anyway, then we have some. Oh, c'est 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oui, 6 green apples. We've got Petit Brie. We have, what else? Oh, a little goat's cheese. I'm having a midlife crisis, so I'm gonna have a little bit of cheese, a little bit of crackers, a little bit of du vin. Oui. And then this is for the plane. I'm gonna cook up some drumsticks, crackers, and 2 avocados, parce que c'est petit, and some asparagus. So tell me, how do you think I did? I don't think the price is that great, but you know, I don't really know the price of things, babe, so who knows? My darling, you're welcome.
Just saw the domain affordability data, and honestly it explains everything about why Australia feels impossible right now when it comes to rental properties. According to Domain, an elite agent, you now need a household income of $135,000 to comfortably afford a rent in a typical Sydney house, and around $130,000 to rent an average unit. Across the capitals, the required income has jumped 51% in 2019, from $74,000 to $112,000. Here's the thing though, the average Aussie earns around $80,000 a year. So tenants are struggling, obviously. But here's what people don't realise, and this is coming from someone inside the industry. Half my landlords still can't afford their mortgage from the rent they receive. They're not making profit. They're holding on by fingernails in hope that the property is worth something in 20 years. So no, it's not greedy landlords versus struggling tenants. It's a housing system that is completely out of touch with reality. We're not fighting each other. We're fighting a market that doesn't match what people earn anymore.
Living in Australia is starting to feel like a total fucking scam. Once was the lucky country. Well, we're flat out of luck. What is it that we have going for us anymore, truly? Like, I posted the video about us living in a dictatorship. Well, we certainly don't have a fucking say with our politicians and what's happening in society. They prioritize absolutely the opposite of what the layperson, which is most people, need day to day. We're in a cost of living crisis, housing crisis, power crisis is what's going to be coming. Like, what the fuck?
Cost of living in Australia, Aldi edition. $7 for milk, $4.49 for Tim Tams. That's a good deal. $8 for a microwave meal. This block of cheese, $7, a lot cheaper than Coles. Under $1 for pasta, what a deal. Eggs for $5. Aldi is so cheap. $2.39 for bread, wow. Aldi is a lot cheaper than Coles. Maybe I can survive in this country.
The cancellation of New Year celebrations represents something deeper and more painful than financial struggle. It represents the slow erosion of joy, connection, and community at the things that make life meaningful. When families skip celebrations, they lose opportunities to bond. When parents can't create special moments for their kids, they lose memories that last a lifetime. When communities stop gathering, they lose the sense of unity that once defined Australia. This crisis is quietly changing the emotional landscape of the country. People feel more isolated, more stressed, more disconnected from the traditions that once gave them comfort. New Year's Eve, once a night filled with optimism and excitement, now reminds people of how difficult life has become. Missing one celebration might not seem like a big deal, but when millions miss it at the same time for the same painful reason, it becomes a national warning. The cost of living isn't just taking money. It is taking happiness, experiences, and the simple ability to feel hopeful about the future. As the fireworks explode over the harbours and skylines this year, many will be watching from living rooms instead of waterfronts. Many will be watching with heavy hearts, knowing they couldn't afford to be part of the nation's celebration. And many won't be watching at all. Too exhausted, too stressed, too overwhelmed by the weight of financial survival. New Year is cancelled for millions of Australians. Not officially, not publicly, but silently, inside the homes of families who simply cannot afford joy anymore. And that should terrify every leader in this country. Because when a nation reaches the point where its people can't afford to celebrate the beginning of a new year, the issue is far deeper than inflation. It means the economy is failing the very people it's supposed to support. It means the cost of living crisis is not just a temporary challenge. It's reshaping the daily reality of Australians in ways that cannot be ignored. Australia deserves a future where families can celebrate without guilt, where children can experience joy without financial restrictions, where New Year's Eve is again a night of hope, not fear. Until that day comes, New Year will remain cancelled, not because people want it that way, but because the economy has left them no choice.